Hey guys, it is Julie here with JT.Wealth. Today's video, we're going to give you an update and go over some recent news surrounding the Workhorse stock. So here we go. All right, so welcome back everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I did make a video on Workhorse just over a week ago and got a lot of great feedback, loved all the discussion happening in the comments, but I did also see a lot of different questions and certain topics coming up. So I just wanted to make an update video to make sure we're all up to speed on what's going on with Workhorse and cover some new things that we've seen come up as well. Now, before we jump into all of that good stuff, please make sure that you are subscribed and hit that like button down below for the video. We did just recently hit our 1,000 subscriber target, which is amazing. Now we are working on getting those watch hours. So try and stick all the way to the end of the video. It really helps the channel grow. All right, now here is what we are going to cover in the video today. Number one is going to be Workhorse's CFO's recent comments on a Benzinga podcast. Number two, we're going to go over some recent Workhorse orders and investments. Number three is going to be who recently doubled their holdings in Workhorse. Number four, who may be looking to work with or even acquire Workhorse. Number five, will Lordstown Motors go public via a SPAC, and how would that affect Workhorse? And finally, we're going to go over Workhorse's stock valuations going forward. So let's get started. In a recent Benzinga podcast, the CFO of Workhorse, Steve Schrader, made some interesting points about the company and the direction that it's headed in. I will say right off the bat that he did say there is no set date for USPS to finalize who's being awarded that big contract. But he does feel that his company is 2 to 3 years ahead of the competitors that are also in that bid. He did mention that the average US postal truck runs for about 17 to 18 miles per day, really stop and go between those mailboxes door to door. Because his EV trucks run more like a golf cart, it makes them the perfect vehicle for that stop and go type travel. He also mentioned that their EV trucks would provide about 50% less maintenance costs than the current USPS's fleet. He believes that the total market potential there is upwards of about $18 billion. Now, apparently this isn't big enough to attract really big companies, but is kind of the perfect size for a company like Workhorse. So it's great to see his confidence in Workhorse's ability to fulfill this contract. Okay, so now for some recent Workhorse orders and investments. So it was just recently announced that there was a purchase order for 20 C1000 all-electric delivery trucks for a Cincinnati-based company called eTrucks. They're going to be purchasing these about roughly $50,000 per truck, so that's about $1 million order for Workhorse. This company, eTrucks, is a buyer and reseller company, so they will be leasing and selling these trucks to other companies as well. Now, obviously, this is not a massive contract like the USPS contract, but it's still pretty good business for Workhorse. On the investment side, Workhorse did just announce as well the closing of $70 million in financing from an institutional investor. So there is a ton of info out there on all the specific details of this agreement, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on them, but what's really exciting about this is that their CEO said that this financing gives them almost $110 million of cash to support their accelerated production efforts and working capital needs. Next, let's get into who recently doubled their holdings in Workhorse. That would be Ark Invest and their CEO/CIO, Cathie Wood, who have been in the news a lot lately. If you haven't heard of them, these guys are the biggest bulls on Tesla, with their best case scenario for Tesla stock going up to $22,000 per share. So this company currently holds Workhorse stock in their ARKQ ETF. That is their autonomous technology and robotics ETF. This ETF over the last year is up roughly 50%, currently trading at $52.35. On July 4th, ARKQ held 159,000 shares of Workhorse. Now, as of July 24th, just 20 days later, that has over doubled, as you can see here, and is now just sitting shy of 400,000 Workhorse shares. So obviously Cathie Wood and Ark Invest definitely see the growth potential for this company. And when Ark Invest makes big purchases of shares like this, people take note. Now, our next topic about who might be interested in acquiring Workhorse doesn't really have much detail out on it yet, but it is something that's creating a lot of excitement. Now, who's heard of Walmart? So these guys are starting to take on the massive challenge of trying to compete with Amazon Prime with what they are calling Walmart Plus. So this article came out early July saying that there's speculation of them working with or acquiring Workhorse and UPS to help them facilitate this new delivery-driven business. So who knows if this will actually happen, but the prospect is certainly interesting. Okay, now on to Lordstown Motors. So will they go public via SPAC, and how would that affect Workhorse? As a side note here, if you're wanting a bit more breakdown of how Lordstown is related to Workhorse, make sure you check out our last Workhorse video, which we'll have the link to down in the description below to get the breakdown of that connection there. Roth Capital analyst Craig Irwin put out an article speculating that Lordstown Motors could go public via a SPAC. Now, we've seen a lot of EV companies going that SPAC route lately, so this is not outside of the realm of possibility. So how would Lordstown Motors going public affect Workhorse? You can see here that Workhorse granted Lordstown Motors the license to their technology and design of the W15 pickup truck. Now, Workhorse is going to retain 2-year non-dilutable 10% equity stake in Lordstown Motors that they got in exchange for that licensing. They will get a royalty fee for each truck delivered by Lordstown, and Workhorse also gets a 1% fee on all equity raised to fund Lordstown Motors in this first 2-year period. Craig Irwin also estimates that Workhorse could earn between $200 and $500 million from Lordstown Motors going public via a SPAC. All right, so let's chat about Workhorse's stock valuation and where it could potentially go in the future. So you can see here, their current price was at $15.14, and that was as of close on Friday. Now, this TipRanks price target shows a high estimate of $27 per share and an average estimate of $21.50 for the next 12 months. Now, this image here is from Simply Wall Street and shows the share price versus a fair value price. So they're estimating that Workhorse is currently 54.8% undervalued, with a fair value estimate being around $33.47. Everyone from Cathie Wood and these big ETFs to all of these analysts are expecting Workhorse to do really well. Obviously, this is partially due to that high excitement and expectation of the USPS contract coming down the line. I also just want to make a point of saying that back in the 1920s, Ford was the only motor company out there, but today there's so many successful car companies. As we enter this new EV market, we can't expect Tesla to be the only company in it for the next 10, 15, 20 plus years. There's going to be so many companies entering this EV market, and honestly, there is room for all of them. All right, so that is most of the new news that I have seen on Workhorse lately. So leave a comment below if you've seen other exciting news and want to share it with us. I would love to hear it. Make sure that you are subscribed, give us a like, and thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day and cheers.